Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Susan Monias, and I reversed my MS diagnosis that was given to me 12 years ago. So this morning on Facebook, I had a question, well, how did you reverse it? So I simply answered, these are the top 4 things I would start with. I didn't do everything at once, obviously. It took a lot of time. But I'm in the process of creating a membership site where I will go over everything I did over the 12 years, everything I took, every test I took, how I layered this disease process in my body. So autoimmunity is the big thing, right? MS is an autoimmune condition or inflammatory condition. So many people don't know that. And that's really all it is, and that's how I saw it. So I had an unbelievable belief in the body. I'm a chiropractor, a doctor of chiropractic. I believe that if you remove interference from the body, it will heal itself. I believe that with all my heart. So the first thing I said to this person is, number 1, you have to believe. You have to believe this can be done. This process can be reversed, and it can. It for sure can. Because autoimmune process starts with cellular inflammation, and then goes to tissue inflammation, goes to organ inflammation, organ damage. But there's a definite path it goes through with autoimmunity. It's not recognized in the medical world, so don't look in the medical world for that answer. In the medical world, the answer is steroid drugs, an anti-inflammatory drug, and that's it. So I was given that. I was given medication that would shut down my immune system. I didn't want that. I thought I had a pretty good immune system, so I didn't want to shut it down. And thankfully I didn't. So I believed 100%. That's not my recommendation, but I did believe, and I thought that if I removed interference, my body would heal. And that's when my journey began 12 years ago. So I've been on the journey 12 years. I was diagnosed, somebody asked this question, was I diagnosed by a medical doctor? Absolutely yes, a neurologist. So a neurologist, had a CAT scan, I had an MRI with contrast, I was admitted to the hospital for 4 days, and I had a lumbar puncture. All came back positive. I had lesions in my brain, so it was all diagnosed the way it's diagnosed today. So it was a definite diagnosis. I just have my belief, and I knew in my heart that I had to reverse this because I had to help other people reverse it also. And that's why God put me on this earth. So I'm living out my purpose. And there's a lot more information to go with this, but this is a quick video. So I said 4 things, right? 4 things to start the reversal process. So in the Membership Academy, I'll go into detail about everything. And there's a lot on this YouTube channel, so look through. But the 4 things is, number 1, you have to believe you can do it. So mindset is so important. You can't be a victim sitting there like, oh, why did this happen to me? I can't believe it. You can't say any of that. You have to believe that we're building a new body, that we're going to, every day our body cells die and we get rid of them and new cells are born. So every day, and I looked at that for the whole 12 years, I still look at it that way. Every day I'm creating new healthy cells, I'm building a new body, and every piece of food I put in my mouth is either putting me towards health or sickness. Easy. So that was in my mind, health, sickness, every piece of food. So people ask me the question, how'd you stay so disciplined over the years? Well, just like that. It was, I'm working towards health, or I'm working towards sickness. A or B, there was no in between. So it was simple to me. I was told I would be in a wheelchair in 5 years. So I didn't want that to happen, and I'd be dead in 10 years. I certainly didn't want that to happen. I had 3 children and young teenage children. I didn't want this at all. So I just fought really hard to make this happen. And the number 1 thing, like I said, you have to believe. You have to keep your mindset right. So I started my day every day with, I start with prayer. That's my thing. Maybe not everybody's thing, but I used to buy mugs, coffee mugs. I'm a coffee drinker. So I start with coffee mugs, right? So I'd have 3 or 4 coffee mugs, maybe 5, and still to this day I use them and have them. And it just says that, I knew I could, so she did. I believed it. So every time I took my sip of coffee, like I'm saying to myself, she believed she could, so she did. She believed she could, so she did. That's Proverb, I think, 31:25. And this mug that says believe. So every time I had a sip of coffee or tea, I'm constantly reminding myself that anything is possible. God said it. Anything's possible to those who believe. So I believed. I have a tattoo on my body. I can't show you right now. I have a butterfly. It has a cross and it says believe. So you just always have to believe. You have to always remind yourself you have to believe. So that's step 1. You have to believe. Step 2 was diet. I had to drastically change my diet to reduce cellular inflammation in my body. So many people don't know about cellular inflammation, but if you have 70 to 90 trillion cells in your body, and if they're inflamed, that's going to cause a problem, right? So my big thing was to not be inflamed. I had to find out what was inflaming me, find a way to get rid of it. And everybody knows that my upper root cause of MS was my metal amalgams in my mouth, so heavy metals. My mother had heavy metals when she was pregnant with me, so I got them in utero from her. So it goes passed down 4 generations. So you have to pay attention to all this. That's what's probably driving the inflammation. So I always talk to my patients about driving inflammation. So we look at inflammation, we'll take turmeric or supplements that will reduce the inflammation. You have to find out what's driving that inflammation, so it gets removed and stopped. You have to stop that inflammation in your body. Number 3 is I got upper cervical specific chiropractic care. So at the time I was diagnosed on Monday, that weekend I was at a conference. Chiropractor, was about to practice upper cervical chiropractic. I love upper cervical chiropractic, and I went to a conference that weekend. That weekend they had doctors in from Italy who were doing research on MS. I had no idea. I just love research, so I wanted to see them. So I drove to Orlando, and I went to this conference, and they're talking all about MS and reversing MS. But at that conference, I'm sitting there, and it was weird. I said I can't write. It was I can't say the word. It wasn't legible. So that was my sign happening, and I didn't know. So I was very tired that weekend, but of course we say, I was tired. We drove through the night. I went from my midterms that week in school, getting the 3 kids ready for their mom not to be home, and driving to Orlando through the night and driving back. And it was a very action-packed weekend. So of course, I blame that. That's why I was tired, but very fatigued. My handwriting had suffered greatly. It could not read it, so my right hand could not write well. And that wasn't the first time that happened. It happened once before, and I didn't understand what was happening. But I was trying to write a note to my son's teacher at school, and I couldn't. It was not legible. So this was happening again. So that's the thing. That was my sign before something was going on, but I ignored it. I blamed it on my hormones. I mean, women have so many excuses. I did too. So I was so tired. I'm working hard. I'm going to school. My hormones. Blah 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 blah. So the handwriting didn't faze me. I just knew I couldn't. It was happening again. I don't know why, but I'm tired. And whatever, but I still ignored and excused it to death and drove all the way home through the night because we wanted to be home for Mother's Day, which was Sunday. So at Mother's Day dinner with my daughter and my family, my other 2 children, we're sitting at the table. My daughter looks at me and she's like, "Do you feel okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just a little tired." She's like, "Well, your whole right side of your face is drooping and your eye is shutting. Are you sure you're okay?" So I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Let's just have dinner." And we had dinner. I wasn't hungry. I didn't really eat very much, but went through the motions. But when Monday morning hit, that was it. My eye was slammed shut. My face was drooping. It appeared like I had a stroke. So I went from perfectly fine, or seemingly perfectly fine, to this diagnosis and being admitted to the hospital for 4 days. Somebody who was never sick. My kids never saw me sick, and all of a sudden I'm debilitated in the hospital. So that's my story. Which at that time, I was in chiropractic school. I was eating healthy. I was taking supplements. I was under chiropractic care, right? So I thought I was healthy. If I would have bet $1 million on Sunday night, then I'm healthy as can be. And then Monday morning, I fall debilitated with this sickness. So autoimmune sneaks up on you. So please pay attention. So the first thing, again, you have to believe in your body and believe that this diagnosis can be reversed. Number 2, your diet has to change. So you have to get rid of inflammation in your body and cellular inflammation. Reach out if you want help with that. Upper cervical chiropractic, please reach out also. We can refer. We have a network of chiropractors around the country we can refer to. And the 4th thing that I mentioned is emotional. Like everybody with MS, I'm convinced, has an emotional component. So we have to deal with emotional stuff. So again, reach out if you need more information on that, and I'll try to do videos to pertain to each one of these 4 things. But I wanted to give more explanation on the 4 things being it was asked. So that is the answer to the question. I hope it helps. Please like and share these videos. 670, there's an increase of 670% of MS diagnosis in our country. 670% increase. So they're either diagnosing them wrong or something's wrong, right? So I want to know what's wrong and why they're getting diagnosed. And please be sure you're being diagnosed correctly. So that's definitely something. Ask questions. So tomorrow, Thursday, March 16th, we have a Q&A. So we have on Instagram and I think on Facebook too. You can ask whatever questions you want. about my diagnosis, please do that. We will answer those questions all day, and try to get those answers out there. But please share these videos, like, subscribe to this channel, like my Facebook page. That just helps reach more people, and we wanted to reach as many as we can. Too many people are being diagnosed with this awful disease. Please, we want to help them. All right, I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.